fly with this one. Raw veganism cannot work. On a global scale, it cannot work unless people acknowledge both sides of the spectrum, the entire spectrum. If you don't have the entire spectrum view of diet and how it affects us, and as far as raw veganism goes, and people saying, being concerned with how much we need to eat, calorie counting and all that, it will never succeed on a global scale unless breatharianism or food alchemy, which is the proper term or proper labeling of what they're calling breatharianism, food alchemy, solar gazing, other forms of living off of energy, whether it be music or meditation and other breathing practices. If that is not expressed and acknowledged in a person's life, and like globally, then there's no way that we could be raw vegans globally. I'm not saying everybody has to be breatharian. I'm not saying you have to live totally off of prana or the life force, chi, whatever you want, ra. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if it's acknowledged that that's possible, then you realize it puts in perspective how much we really need to eat. And you can look at it like air, since it is so much of our food anyway, since we're breathing every minute of every day. If we take conscious power of that food source or that source of energy, again, because you're not just breathing air, it's the makeup of this thing called air or ether that we're inhaling and exhaling is something that most people don't have a grasp or a hold of to really understand how it can be a food or a supplement for your diet. If they don't know that, that's not acknowledged, then raw veganism will always fail, because there will always be a concern about how much you need to eat, and it's just going to kill people's pockets to get 2,500 fruit calories of these things in all likelihood. In all likelihood. I'm talking about global scale. I'm not talking about, some people, like if you live in California, much easier than if you live in Michigan or New Jersey. Or, it's just, or Canada. Or, I don't know, Denmark. It's going to be a lot more difficult for these people on a global scale, these people that are above a certain parallel. It's going to really have an effect on their pockets, on their money. So for raw veganism to succeed into the future, breatharianism or food alchemy has to be acknowledged. It has to be brought into your spectrum view. So you see the whole spectrum, from eating death to totally eating life, and wherever you fall in between there. So it has to be expressed. If you're a raw vegan, then you just realize you're eating plants that just perform photosynthesis. You're using a middleman for photosynthesis instead of solar gazing or other forms of pulling light towards you. So, and if you're at a point where you know that you are creating the light that you are living off of, and that you are a creator and the source is you, then you are, you're already, that's really where we need to be. If you get to that point, at least in acknowledging it, regardless of what you eat, then you will have no choice but to make strides towards a diet of life instead of a diet of death. So without that knowingness, that remembrance, that epiphany, then there's no way raw veganism will last on a global scale. It'll always be this battle of people, and then it will always create that rift of people thinking they're better than other people and meat eaters and all that, because we have to acknowledge this other end of the spectrum. We've seen what eating total death can do to us. Now let's experience the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's not stop at being middleman. So that's the only way raw veganism will succeed into the future on a global scale.